All right, back again with another recent gaming. I've got 5 games here that I'll talk about. The overall quality this time, not the best, but I'll start with the best one. No, and the one that people are actually interested in. I've got a bunch of games here that no one gives a shit about except for me. So there you go. Yeah, I'll start with the PS5 game because this is like the one that probably some people watching this have actually played. The other ones, I'll be surprised if you have. I played Another Crab's Treasure. This is the day one edition, physical. Has a download code for a soundtrack, and it also comes with a cool little poster. I don't remember if I showed this in a pickups video. This poster, but has this like nice clay thing going on, and the game was pretty damn fun. I liked it a lot. I was expecting the game to be like a short little comedy game, which it kind of is, but it ended up being much more than that. So this is it's a Dark Souls clone in a way, a Souls-like game, if you will, but you play as this little crab on the bottom of the ocean. And yeah, it's a very silly game in many ways. You start the game by losing your shell to a lone shark who is just a literal shark. Not really even a literal shark. It's like a Pez machine, like one of those like candy dispensers, but in a shark shape. And then you go on this journey to try and get your shell back. And it's really funny. The writing is pretty damn funny. And it's all about this little crab trying to get his shell back and everyone just fucking with you. And, eventually you lose your temper and then everything spirals out of control. It's surprisingly deep and a surprisingly long game as well. It took me over 20 hours to get the platinum trophy for it. There are some really, really big areas in this game to explore. That's a strength and a weakness, both at the same time. I think one of the weaknesses of the game is the level design, especially early on in the game. When you first get into this sort of an open area, where you get to explore more freely. The game starts very like narrowly. You are in a tube just running forward, but it opens up a lot. And the first open area is pretty weak. It reminds me of the Dark Souls 3 DLC, like the last DLC area, which is just kind of like a desert where you're just running around and there's barely nothing in it. And you're just any direction you look into, you just see like an endless sea of sand, and you don't really know if it's worth going there or not. And I don't really like that sort of exploration where you are just running around aimlessly, and that's what the game starts with, really. So I don't think the pacing at the beginning of the game is particularly good. It gets better later on in a game when you get into these more like set piece levels that are less open, but not exactly linear either. And some of those are surprisingly long, and there's a lot of platforming as well. Lots of exploring and platforming. The platforming is one of the weakest parts of the game, even though the grappling hook is pretty fun that you use. But still, like it's like this is not a precision platformer. It's kind of awkward most of the time doing the platforming. The combat is pretty simple, and for anyone who's played Dark Souls or any of the other Souls-like games that are a bit more on a hard side, this game is pretty easy. I cannot lie about that. I thought this game was very easy. There are a couple of bosses that I had to try maybe 5 or 10 times, but that was just because I was under-leveled and too stubborn to go and level up. So there are a couple of skill check bosses, but for the most part, one or two tries you can kill pretty much any boss if you're familiar with this sort of gameplay. And yeah, it's mostly third-person combat. It's a Souls-like game. You explore and you fight enemies. Some of the enemies are pretty tough. Most of them are pretty simple. And yeah, the storyline is really surprising in how much there is to it and how many different side characters you meet along the way. I wasn't expecting the game to be this well written or this overall well rounded, which was a very positive surprise. I thought by the end of the game, the boss fights were really fun. All the different boss fights. I don't want to spoil anything, but very different from one another. Also very fun. All had sort of different types of mechanics and different speeds, and some were slow and some were fast, and there are different types of attack patterns you had to dodge and everything. Now, I don't want to praise the game too much because it is obviously not a AAA game. There are some problems with its design and also technical stuff. The game did crash on me a couple of times. I also had problems with clipping through the terrain, getting stuck in rocks and whatever. So there are multiple times where I had to restart the game, had to purposefully kill myself and respawn, and this sort of thing. So it's not polished. It's not as polished as you would hope for, but for what it is, I thought it was really fun and a really cool game, much better than I was expecting. I had heard good things about this game, but I didn't know that it was this good. Also, I already mentioned the level design. It's kind of lacking at times. Sometimes it's fun. They are trying to go for this Dark Souls style of level design where you open up these shortcuts and so on, but the levels aren't as intricate as in some of the other Souls-like games, like Nioh and even The Surge and whatever. I think are better designed when it comes to the level design and more interesting to explore in the long run. Also, later on in the game, one of the areas is pitch black, and you have to when you're progressing through it, make light appear. Kind of, it's really annoying to navigate there in the dark before you get the lights back on. Yeah, what else about this game? Some of the clunkiness also that I mentioned for the level design and the technical parts also shows up in the combat system, because there are some undercooked ideas there. Some enemies, because you're underwater, and some of the enemies are squids and whatever, they use smoke screens and stuff like that, but it doesn't really work because you can just auto lock through the smoke anyway, so it doesn't matter that they use that. The hitboxes are kind of all over the place. Sometimes the enemies hit you, sometimes they don't. There's a mechanic in here where you can spear items. You only have, in Sekiro, you only have this one weapon. In Sekiro, you have a sword. In here, you have a fork, and you just upgrade the fork. But you can spear items with the fork and turn the fork into a hammer, and it's really overpowered for most of the game. It does so much damage. You can basically one-shot all the regular enemies if you are at a high enough level. So some of the ideas aren't necessarily perfectly thought out, and it's not really that much balanced perfectly, but it's still a fun game. It's still a really, really fun game. And I do enjoy the main shell mechanic. So it's kind of like in Mortal Shell, the other Souls-like game, where if you're hit enough times, you kind of, in Mortal Shell, you're jettisoned out of your shell and you have to go back to it and get it without getting hit. In here, you have these different shells that you can wear that are kind of like armor with different kinds of buffs and other effects. And if you don't have a shell, you can't block attacks. So you block attacks with your shell. And if you take too many hits, your shell breaks and you have to find a new one. And I thought this was a pretty fun mechanic. However, again, most of the shells are just useless. There are only a couple that are like really good. I played most of the game wearing the shuttlecock, like you play badminton. That's the ball that you play with. I used that for the most part because it's really light and had like 150 HP, so it was really durable. So yeah, most of the shells are pretty useless. Some of them are pretty funny as well. You have like a really creepy, like decrepit doll head that you can wear, and like a dirty sock, and these different items. It's pretty funny, but yeah. I guess that's enough on another Crab's Treasure. I would recommend this to anyone who's into action games, not just Souls-like games. If you aren't into Dark Souls and that sort of stuff, if you think it's too daunting, too difficult, this may be a good place to start. Maybe it's not the easiest one out there, but it's pretty simple. The combat system and everything, it's pretty simple and well explained in the game with tutorials. So yeah, another Crab's Treasure. I'd give it like a 8.5. It's a strong game. Enjoyed my time with it. A good solid 20 hours of fun, I think. And yeah, I guess that's it. I was just wondering, was there downloadable content there with the game? I can't remember. If it was, it's free, but yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, there was. I guess there was, because yeah. I'll add this. There's a new game plus and some other stuff like that, and that was added in a DLC, but that's a free download. I can't remember if it was on the disc or whether I had to download it. But you can find the information out online easily if you're looking for a complete copy of this game. I'm pretty sure it was on the disc, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. So yeah, there's a new game plus, and like some other stuff that was added with the DLC, like a museum where you can look at 3D models of the different characters and some other improvements. So yeah, good game. Another Crab's Treasure. Next up, I briefly showed this in a pickups video quite recently. I played through Shag Fu: A Legend Reborn. I needed a short PS4 game, and yeah, I beat this game in I started playing it one evening and I beat it the next afternoon. So really short game. It's a beat 'em up game. Side scrolling beat 'em up game, a 3D beat 'em up also. It's not, it's not a 2D, but it's from side view. 3D brawler from side view. And it's just a dumb, ridiculous beat 'em up game. The beat 'em up gameplay here is quite poor, in my opinion. Very simple, and for the most part, kind of annoying as well. There are lots of gimmick mechanics like throwing barrels and turning into a cactus or a shagtus, because it's Shaquille O'Neal. But yeah, and this sort of gimmick stuff that's very overpowered, like insta-killing enemies, and it's not the difficult beat 'em up. This is one of the easiest beat 'em up games I've ever played. And for the most part, it's just mind-numbingly mediocre. But the story with this game is pretty funny, because this is a Kickstarter game. Of course, the character Shag Fu, like that's a character from the old days. If you're an old school gamer, you remember Shag Fu. It's ridiculous. Shaquille O'Neal as this sort of a martial artist guy. And yeah, this is a Kickstarter game. They got a lot of money for this game, and they used that money. Let's just put it that way. There are animated cutscenes, proper voice acting. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like Shaquille O'Neal is a Chinese orphan or whatever. It's dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb, but it's also really, really, really funny. I showed the cutscenes to a friend of mine. I played through the game myself, and we watched all of the cutscenes as like a Shaq Fu Legend Reborn movie, and my friend enjoyed it a lot as well. So it's not just me. It's really, really dumb fun if you're into this sort of silly humor. You are going to enjoy this a lot. But yeah, the problem is that the gameplay is just pretty boring. Now there is also a free DLC. It's not included on the disc. Unfortunately, you have to download it, but it's a free download. There's a DLC called The Legend of Dirty Barry, where you play as Barack Obama. It's very politically incorrect. You, for example, fight against a French politician, Marine Le Pen, who is portrayed as a pig in the game, and this sort of thing. It is very, very politically incorrect. Also, many of the cutscenes with Shaquille O'Neal in it, the Shaq Fu stuff, very racist. If you're sensitive to that sort of thing. The Asian characters are very much like racist caricatures, but also the American characters and the French characters and everyone, like all of the French enemies like have not berets. What is the hat, like the stereotypical French hat, and they wear these striped shirts and have baguettes like that, like this sort of thing, like this very dumb, silly, juvenile, stereotypical imagery that is borderline racist, I guess, if you're sensitive towards that sort of thing. But yeah, it's dumb. Lots of humor about butts and dicks and farts and this sort of thing. So it's not for everyone. But the DLC is pretty damn funny, with Barack Obama presented as this sort of a Dirty Harry character going around with a massive revolver and a shotgun, just blasting stuff. Yeah, it's funny. It's hilarious. I'd give Shaq Fu like a cautious 6 out of 10. Just in terms of gameplay, it's not even a 5 out of 10 in my opinion. But the characters and the stories and the cutscenes and everything, the voice acting elevates it. So there you go. Shaq Fu, A Legend Reborn. Next up, one of the worst games I've played in a long time. This is also a pretty recent pickup that I had in one of the pickups videos. I played through Ice Cream Surfer for the same reason as I did Shaq Fu. I needed a short game that I could beat in a weekend, and I did. Ice Cream Surfer. Thank God I found a used copy of this for cheap, and I didn't pay a lot of money for it, because this game is so dreadfully bad. It's so bad. It's awful. It's terrible. Now, one of the good things about this game is that it has really fun pixel art. Many of the enemies look really fun. It's you fighting against vegetables because you're a boy who doesn't like vegetables and you want like good food. So you're fighting against the veggies, and the vegetables have fun little details to the animations and everything. So they have a lot of personality to them. It's kind of funny. But yeah, it's a shoot 'em up game. It's a horizontal shoot 'em up, so from left to right, scrolling. And yeah, it's a really janky Euro shooter. The movement is pretty slow and awkward. The hitbox of your character is ridiculous because it is the size of your character. And sometimes you get hit even in a larger hitbox. So the hitbox doesn't even work properly most of the time. You sometimes get hit when you've like properly dodged something because the hitbox is a bit larger than what is even shown on the screen. It is dumb how large the hitbox is. And well, there aren't that many enemies really in the game, but many of them take a lot of shots to kill. Also, depending on the difficulty you choose, there are multiple difficulties: easy, medium, and hard. And I wouldn't suggest playing the game on hard unless you're going for trophies. There are also multiple well, the one trophy that's tied to the hard difficulty. Everything else you can get on easy, and that's exactly what I did, because the hard mode is just not worth it. It's just annoying. There's also multiple playable characters, I think 5 or 6. Each one of them has their own trophy for beating the game. So I did play through this piece of shit game 6 times to get the trophies, and actually probably 7 or 8 times, because I went for all of the trophies. Sometimes when a game is really short and annoying, I get this urge to platinum it, just so that I know that I have all of the trophies and I never have to play it again. So that's what I did. It wasn't a lot of trouble. There isn't a platinum trophy here, but there is a trophy list, mostly like silvers and golds. And yeah, some of the characters are awful, because the main difference between the characters isn't necessarily the shot pattern. There's also differences in shot pattern, sure, but the main difference for some of the characters is that they shoot a shorter bullet than the others. So their shots don't go from one end of the screen to the other. They only go like halfway up the screen, unless you get power-ups, and then the shot becomes better and more usable. But some of the characters are designed in a way that they're kind of melee characters, and it doesn't make any sense because it just doesn't work properly. Like the characters aren't stronger than the ones who can shoot farther away, so I don't really see any point in using them. And it makes playing the game infuriatingly difficult as well, because you just can't hit enemies far away. So there are more enemies on the screen that you cannot clean up, and more bullets coming at you. And because the hitboxes are awful, then you inevitably get hit unless you're really good. And the power-ups don't really help much, because if you get hit one time, you lose all of them. Kind of like the old Raiden games, which are very hardcore, but better designed. If you get hit once, you lose all of your upgrades. And once you lose all of your upgrades, you are back to the shitty basic shot. And in some of the later levels, I found it almost impossible to get through the levels without having upgrades. The upgrades are also, I think, pretty much randomized, like what you get. And sometimes like you play half a mission or half a level and you don't really get any useful upgrades, and then other times you get like 3 or 4 really good upgrades immediately. So the upgrades are mostly just shot power. It's shot power, and then like spread, and then you also have these temporary upgrades, which are like invincibility for one hit, or having a ally who shoots at enemies, or this sort of thing. And sometimes the stuff that you get is just garbage, and sometimes it's useful. So there you go. I would give Ice Cream Surfer. I'm pretty sure I haven't forgotten to say anything about this. It's just badly designed Euro shooter. It's a badly designed Euro shooter. I have no idea why Europeans can't design shoot 'em up games. Like they always fuck them up. Always. It's always this sort of jank that like this Ice Cream Surfer. But yeah, I'd give this like a low 3 out of 10. Not worth your time at all unless you are a hardcore shoot 'em up fan. For the next recent gaming, I will talk about a shoot 'em up game that is absolutely brilliant. So look forward to that. Yeah, it's not in this one yet. Right, for the fourth game, another really short PS4 game. You see the pattern here. I don't have much time to play longer games, so I'm playing stuff like Goodbye World, which takes around, let's say, an hour, maybe an hour and a half to beat, kind of depending on how much time you spend playing the minigame. So this is a indie story-based, I don't want to call it an adventure game because there isn't really adventure gameplay in it, but it has this pixel graphics presentation, and it's mostly dialogue. It's this meta narrative about video game developers. One of them is really depressed and the other one is just happy to be making games, and it's about this sort of relationship between these two characters. There are other characters as well, but it's mainly these two characters. It's a story about depression, and I think it portrays that message really well. Now, some of the problems with the game are that it's really, really short. Really short. It could be longer. There is also this mini game because the main characters are game developers. So there is this game that the main character has developed, and you kind of play stages of that game. It's like a Game Boy style, very simple puzzle platformer that you play. You in every chapter, which there are, how many are there? There are quite a few of them. I think there are over 10 of them in the game. Like between 10 and 15. I can't remember the exact number. You start the chapter by playing a level of this Game Boy game. Whether you beat the level or not doesn't matter. You have 3 tries to get through the level. If you don't, that's fine. You get you get progress in the main game even without beating any of the puzzle levels. So if you just want to blast through the game getting trophies, I'm pretty sure this one didn't have a platinum trophy either, but it does have a trophy list. If you just want to get trophies, you can just intentionally kill yourself in the minigame and just click through the dialogue after that. But yeah, it starts with the minigame, and then there's dialogue from different parts of the development cycle, basically. So you start with these two characters meeting. They're like in school, in some sort of a design school or game design school or whatever, and they meet up, and then they start working together, and that's how it goes. And it's pretty dark and very melancholic, very sad. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the whole game. It's really short. It's very simple, but it is quite effective. And I think the mundanity of playing through the minigame levels, I usually don't check out any reviews of the games that I play before playing them or even after them. I just like forming my own opinion on stuff. But I did look up reviews for this. What are people saying about Goodbye World? Because it is quite it's a pretty obscure small indie game, and I was really surprised to find that people didn't like the Game Boy levels, because I think they were perfect for this story that was told here. Like, they are perfectly mediocre and boring and mundane, and like that's the mindset of the main character. Like, the main character is very depressed, very sad, like lost in life, feeling rejection all around her. And then she develops this game that is also kind of reflecting of those emotions. But it's also kind of fun and good in a way. It's not the worst game ever made, the mini game in this game, but it's not the greatest either. So it's a perfect representation of the main character. And yeah, I would give a Goodbye World maybe a high 6 or a low 7. I enjoyed it quite a bit because I like story-based games. I like this sort of narrative story games, these small indie games. It's not really a visual novel, but somewhat in that style to an extent. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah, yeah, there are worse games out there, like the next one I'll talk about. But yeah, I can see many people like bouncing off of Goodbye World just because it's so short, and it's nothing special really. It's just a slice of life, and has a good message as well. So there you go. And then lastly, I'll end with The Good Life. Now, I am still playing this game in a sense that I have a couple of side quest related trophies that I want to get. Now, this game is a massive waste of time, and I will absolutely not go for the platinum trophy here. no way, it's not worth it. But there are a couple of things I want to finish in it to kind of feel like I've done enough in it to shelf it and to stop playing it. The Good Life is by White Owls, so this is a game directed by Swery, known for Deadly Premonition. And there's also another guy involved here who's very famous, whose name I can't remember. But he's the guy who's one of the creators, or is he the creator? I can't remember exactly. But yeah, he worked on Panzer Dragoon, for example. So there are some veteran Japanese game developers working, or were working on this game. And yeah, it's a limited run games release. It's also, I guess, Limited Run Games is some sort of a partner with this release because they have their name in the credits and everything. They at least did the Kickstarter, the rewards for this game. Those were through Limited Run, so maybe that's why. I don't know if they were more heavily involved in the production of this game or whatever, but yeah, Limited Run Games not just released this physical, but they have their names in the credit of this game. Now, when this game was announced, I was very excited about it. I didn't back the Kickstarter because it was really expensive, way too expensive. And this physical was ridiculously expensive as well. I talked about this in, I think, the import pickup discussion video. I talked about this game in particular because I got this from the sales that Limited Run Games had with this sort of, what is it called? Like the vault, where they were. The longer you waited, the bigger the percentages came off of the game's price, and I got this for like half the price. So, was it worth it? No, because I think the game is awful. It's very disappointing. This is a life simulator and also a photography simulator. So two things that I really like. So kind of like Stardew Valley plus Africa, something like that, where you are this journalist from a big city and you go into this British idyllic countryside town to work on some journalistic stories. I don't want to spoil anything about the story because the story is kind of funny, at least at the start. And you are just living there in the town. You have this shabby little shack that you use as your base, and you're just basically walking around, taking photographs, doing some journalistic work, and then trying to figure out what is going on in a town. Because this is not really a spoiler, but almost at the beginning of the game, you realize that there are lots of cats and dogs in the town, and those are the town people. Like they turn into cats or dogs during a couple of nights every month when the moon is in the right correct position or whatever. And you're trying to figure out what the deal is with this mystery and so on. They are very much going for a Deadly Premonition feel here, where you have lots of really strange, quirky characters. But it's not as fun as Deadly Premonition. Many of the characters are really annoying. Especially, there's this one guy who keeps shouting lobster and doing this dumb pose. And it's just fucking stupid. Some of these characters are really annoying and just not endearing in the way that they were probably meant to come off as. And yeah, the main problem I have with The Good Life is that it is just incredibly poorly designed, just from top to bottom. Oh yeah, this physical has a little booklet. I'll flip through it here. And it's so annoying. The design of the game, and it shows in everything. They didn't really think about the quality of life of the players at all. So you have all these different systems in the game. Let's put this here for the time being. You have all these different systems in the game. You have the photography system. Yeah, that's cool, but it's also really annoying. You only have a limited amount of pictures you can take, and then you have to delete the ones you don't want to keep one by one in this really slow and arduous process where you have to open up a menu, click X, click triangle, click X, wait, and then repeat and repeat and repeat one at a time. It is so annoying. Also, your camera that you start with is really bad. It can only take black and white shots, really poor quality, and all the upgrades are incredibly expensive. Unless you buy a used equipment, which is fine, but they break almost immediately, and then you have to pay for them to get fixed. This reminds me of like Far Cry 2, where it sounds good on paper that there's all these sort of realistic things that can happen. Like in Far Cry 2, you can jam your gun, or your gun can randomly just jam in the middle of a firefight. It sounds good on paper, but when you're actually playing the game, it just doesn't work. It's just annoying. It's really, really annoying. And this is true for pretty much all of the different mechanics in The Good Life. There's also kind of a farming mini game where you plant seeds and then grow the crops and harvest them and whatever. And how you do this is that you walk over into your garden, you go to these spots in the garden that where you can plant seeds. Each spot can hold one seed, and you go there, you press X, you press whatever plant seed, and then it opens up a menu, and the seeds are not like in the menu, like only the seeds. It's your whole inventory, and the seeds are not like organized in any way really in the basic view in the inventory. So you just have to scroll down in your inventory to go to the seed, click it, plant it, wait for the animation, and then do the same thing one at a time for each seed in each of the parts of the garden. And if you have your garden upgraded to whatever, like 60 something spots that you can have, that's the highest number, it takes around 10 minutes to just plant all of the seeds. 10 minutes. Now imagine playing Stardew Valley and it's taking you 10 real life minutes to plant a couple of seeds. It's fucking ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Harvesting is a little bit faster, but you have to do it again one by one. You have to go to each plant, harvest it, wait, go to the second plant, harvest it, wait. And it just, all of these menus are so slow and it's so awful. It feels like a PS2 game in many parts. And I find it incredible that these like super veteran developers who have made like really good games. Well, some of them are really bad also. I mean, Deadly Premonition I wouldn't call a good game, but it's still a fun game, right? All of these fun games. Panzer Dragoon also. And then they make this where it's like a PS2 era game where you have to do everything one by one by one by one. It's just a waste of time. Also, the inventory management, oh my god, it's so terrible. There are so many items. It's a life sim game, so you're constantly picking up stuff. You have hundreds of different types of items that you collect from the game world or buy or craft or whatever, and you only have 80 slots in your inventory, which it takes like 5 hours maybe in game at the beginning of the game to fill up before you even have to worry about inventory space. And then you have this shack where you can store your items, but here again, quality of life, you cannot craft anything with items that are in your shack. You have to have them in your own person inventory. So you have these items, some of which you're carrying, some of which are in the shack, Then you also have item boxes around the game world where you can temporarily store stuff, but none of these are connected. So if you want to craft something, you have to go to your shack, pick up the item from the shack, have it on your person, and then use it in a crafting. It is so clumsy, it is so annoying, and I just can't deal with it. It's just a waste of time. And then, of course, because this game is directed by Swery, you have to have incredibly bad controls. So in this game, thank God you don't drive a car like in Deadly Premonition. The people who have played Deadly Premonition know what I mean. The car controls in that game are the worst car controls in the history of video games. By far worse than like big trucks or whatever that PC game is. The car controls are so bad. In this game, you ride sheep, which is kind of funny. You also own sheep. You can buy sheep and brush them and cut their wool and whatever. But the sheep controls are so incredibly bad. They are so stiff. You can barely maneuver the sheep around, which is kind of realistic, I guess, but it doesn't make for a fun video game. And you're just constantly driving around or riding around on these sheep. And it is horrendous. It is horrendous. What else? The missions, there are dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of side missions in addition to the main missions. The stuff that you would expect, like, I would like 3 mushrooms. Could you go to the forest and pick me 3 mushrooms? Yeah, okay, sure. And then you go to the forest and you pick up 3 mushrooms and bring them back. This sort of thing. Or because this is a photography game, you have to take pictures of different kind of like items or people or like situations and stuff, and then put those, either upload those to your kind of like fake Instagram account to get likes and money, and that way, or like give them to the townspeople, and that's fine. I'm not expecting Witcher 3 level side quests from this small life sim game. But when you're doing side missions, you can only have one of them active at a time. And if you don't have a mission active, nothing happens with them. Even if you find the items or take the correct picture or talk to the correct person, if you don't have the mission active, it doesn't progress. So again, it's just a waste of time to make you go into this menu with these side missions and always remember to switch the side mission on before you talk to someone or whatever. It's so badly designed. It is so badly designed. It is infuriating. And that's the whole game, basically. I've been ranting about this for way too long. We're already at like 45 minutes again for these 5 games, but yeah, it just mostly has been me whining about the good life. And just everything about the game is so badly designed, just full of this lack of quality of life. And the trophy list is so horrendous. Like, this is supposed to be a cozy little fun game to play on the side and have a good time. And then the trophy list is like, harvest 500 of this. Ride a sheep for 100,000 miles. Like, it's awful. It's just a waste of time. I've said this so many times. It's a waste of time, much like listening to me whining about this game for like 15 minutes. Yeah, I'll stop whining about it. Some positives. I really like photography simulation games, and this game is pretty funny. It also has some like pretty fun writing. The main character has this a thing that she just keeps saying, this goddamn hellhole, over and over again. It's kind of funny, at least at the start, but it gets old. And yeah, some of the side characters are pretty fun. The mystery behind the whole game is pretty interesting. There's also a mechanic where you can turn into a cat or a dog, which is kind of fun. That's used in different puzzles. Of course, they had to make this incredibly annoying as well, because the transformation animation is really long. And you can't transform from a Yeah, if you transform from a human to a cat, you can't transform from a cat to a dog. So you have to transform from a human to a cat, and then back from the cat to the human, and then from the human to the dog. And it just takes way too much time, and it's really annoying. But overall, the mechanic is pretty fun, and you get to like urinate as a dog, like mark places as the dog, and that's kind of funny. So there you go. Also, some of the side missions and the main missions are actually pretty funny and also somewhat emotional at times. The game does go into places that's pretty effective and emotional as well. So there are some positives here, but for the most part, it's so boring and badly designed. It's very disappointing because with very small quality of life upgrades, the game would immediately be a lot better and a lot more enjoyable. Just let me plant multiple seeds at a time from a menu without me having to walk over into each spot one by one. Let me have a inventory system that's linked with the items that are on my person and in the item box. Also, I mentioned the Instagram fake thing that's in the game where you upload photographs online, right? There are hot words there, so you get extra points if you like these change every couple of days and whatever. You get extra points if you upload an image that kind of works with a hot word like cute cats or like laundry on a Sunday afternoon. Like you have to kind of find these pictures and take them and then upload them, and you get extra points. There's very limited space in your Instagram to upload photos, first of all, very annoying. But then if you have something uploaded there that works for a hot word, and you upload a new one that also works the same hot word, it doesn't apply to the new picture. So you have to constantly delete pictures that are in your like profile so that they don't take up these sort of hot word spots, because you don't get any points for the old pictures. You only get points for the new pictures. And again, so poorly thought out and just undercooked. The whole game is undercooked. Yeah, I'd give it like a 5.5, maybe a low 6 if I'm generous. But yeah, I don't really think it's as fun as Shaq Fu, so I'd give it like a 5.5 maybe. So there you go. That's The Good Life, and I'll end on this. I'll be back again next week for something else, and I'll use another Crab's Treasure for the thumbnail because that's probably something that at least some people are interested in. So there you go. I'll see you next week. Bye.